Hey, on my Travel With podcast today, I'm lucky to have Darley Newman. How are you this morning, Darley?
I'm great.
I so appreciate the time. The one benefit I have, I love talking to people that travel for work. The negative is they're usually traveling for work, so it's hard to pin them down. You have so many titles. Let's start with a TV host, producer, author, overall entrepreneur, I guess.
I try to juggle a lot of things.
I find that most people in today's world have multiple things. They don't do just one thing.
I know. I guess everybody's keeping busy. There's a lot of things have been consolidated, so people are juggling many hats nowadays. But I guess that keeps us all on our toes, right?
Yeah, and in a good way, I think. Talk to several athletes on the show, and they're always doing something else, whether it's photography or videography or their own YouTube channel or whatever. So it's interesting to see people branching out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we're all learning so much every day.
Well, yeah, I have a personal favorite, kind of a growing up hero was Huell Hauser. I don't know if you've ever heard of Huell.
Yeah, because his show broadcast after mine on KCET in Los Angeles.
Exactly. So I grew up watching Huell, and I think that's kind of where my curiosity to see new things and experience new things kind of sparked, and you're falling right in line with that.
It's similar. Yeah, I travel all over the world with locals. I have for about a decade, and explore food, culture, adventure. We film it for our show, Travel with Darley, and I also did equitrekking on PBS, Amazon Prime. All these different outlets. So it keeps it really interesting. But I love sharing it, and I love that it inspires people to travel and want to know more about the world and each other. So it's definitely rewarding.
Well, and you're one of my overnight success stories. How long have you been doing this now?
I don't know if I'm overnight. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I know, right? We're all seemingly overnight success stories, but
exactly.
Yeah.
The equitrekking I thought was really interesting. Right, traveling around doing by horseback in all the different places that you went to. With the travels with Darley, what's the difference with that now? I mean, obviously you're not on horseback, but
yeah, well, I am sometimes, but it's a similar premise to equitrekking in that I always have locals on camera wherever I go. It's the kind of travel show that while I'm hosting it, I'm really like listening to people's stories, and they're sharing something about their area. But normally we're doing something while we talk. So we're mountain biking, horseback riding, kayaking, walking through Pasadena, to try local food. So it's all like it moves, and it's very experiential. I think that's a great way to see a new place is to have a local guide you. But then if you can do something while you're having that adventure, I think it makes it even more adventurous and good for people to watch as well. Because there's lots of ways to explore different places, whether it's on foot or surfing, or I just took a skateboard lesson in LA. So there's lots of ways to do things. Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, ooh, I survived that one.
No comment. I didn't. I have a buddy that's a pro skateboarder, and I'm like, nope. I fell when I had to be about 12 years old, and that was it.
Oh no, you should get back up there. I mean, especially if you did it as a child. I was a skateboard light kid because my brother did it, so I would try to mess around as well. But you do, you remember that stuff that you tried as a kid. But yeah, you have to make sure you wear your pads and helmet. I was at a skateboard park in Costa Mesa just this past week, taking a skateboard lesson, and it went really well. I only almost died 3 times. So
that's not bad.
And I survived overall. So, but it was really fun. It was really fun.
I started roller skating about 7 months ago with my wife, and I've been to the skate park a few times with that, fallen, hurt myself a couple times. So that's been my learning experience for the year.
I saw some roller skaters, and then also people on bikes that were at the skate park, which I was very impressed. I mean, skateboarding is impressive enough, and then when you see people doing all those tricks with anything else, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So
exactly. That's how I feel. Well, now I'm in my 50s now, so anytime I do something new, I'm like, oh, okay. I got my new in for the day. So
Yeah, it's good. Got to get out of your comfort zone, right?
you have to. Wait, when you're doing your show, I'm always curious. You're the only one on camera other than the people you're interviewing, but how many people travel with you?
It's a small crew. There's only 3 other people that are with me.
Okay.
I've been working with the same director of photography for the last decade, Greg Barna, who's amazing. He's won a couple Emmy Awards for our eco trekking series for the photography. And I mean, everybody on the crew has to be pretty adventurous because we're hiking and doing all these things that are active with our equipment, which makes it, and filming it, which makes it interesting and challenging. But it's so great, and we're like a family. We all know each other obviously so well by now because we've traveled so much together. I can order for everybody, and they can order for me. And yeah, it's quite a little dance we have going on at this point.
I think that would be hugely beneficial for you, that your camera person, your sound, or whoever, and everybody in your little group knows each other so well. So it makes things, now your travel's a lot easier.
It really does, and it's so nice. And all of us, have a thirst to see the world and to learn new things and to share it. So, and everybody's so creative and collaborative. So it really makes for a nice team and a nice experience, and makes it easy for the locals that we meet to open up and share with us because it's just a very comfortable setting. Yeah.
But I'm just curious, how did you get started? I mean, do you just wake up one day and go, you know what? I want to travel the world. I want people to record it, and that's all I want to do.
That is pretty much it. That's how I initially, I'm always coming up with new ideas. It's funny. I'm, always thinking of new things to do. And then I just figure out how to do them. And it was not easy for sure, but basically went out and got sponsors for a pilot episode and found an outlet. It was not on PBS at first. It was on another network called Horse TV, my eco trekking show, which is a network that's no longer even around. So it's been a real grassroots effort over the years to kind of take one success and go to the next. And it's just been a lot of creativity and hard work, but it's paid off. And it's not an overnight success story, but it is a success story. And it's something
Absolutely.
that you can take, and then, you do one great project, and then you look at, what do I do? What do I want to do next? And how do I leverage the good work I've done here to make that happen? So there's a lot of building that goes on, but like any entrepreneur and person in travel, it's something that, you love to do. So you want to work hard at it. I will say that if you're going to have a job, which most of us have to have a job. So unfortunately or fortunately, but I think it's fortunate if you can do something that you love, because you're going to work at it, a lot. I think it's important. Yeah. So.
Well, I have 2 daughters that graduate college now, but I talk to them about the same thing, saying, if you're going to spend most of your waking hours doing something, boy, I hope you don't hate it.
Yeah, for sure.
It just makes life suck.
I know. Most of you spend a lot of time working. That's why originally when I graduated from college, I went to George Washington University, and I graduated and got a job in television immediately. I started like a week. I don't even think I had a week off after I graduated, but I went right to work and I had an office job, but it was in television. I was doing programming for the WB. It's now CW network. Things changed, but and it was like an office job, but I would ride my bike to work and I would kind of come in all like sweaty and stuff. I don't know how but I was like, I was not used to being in an office all the time. And the job was great. And I stayed a year and then went on to go then work at a production company working on the show Frontline. And I was getting to do more of what I wanted, but each job was not exactly what I wanted at first, but it was, again, learning something within the industry and then moving on to something that was more in my lane. Yeah. Just building off of, again, like, I think this is going to give me this experience that will be helpful for this. That's kind of what I did. Because I said I wanted to host a travel show in high school. Like, my high school friends remember that. So I just didn't know how I was going to get there for a while. And I just needed experience in general. So I went out there and did all sorts of jobs. in media and television before I was able to kind of go off on my own and launch this new venture.
I think that's also a key factor for a lot of the I hate to say it, but the millennials who don't want to necessarily put in jobs that, I want to just do this, and it's not always an immediate satisfaction where, you graduate college one day and the next day you've got your dream job.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be great if it were like that, maybe, but maybe not, because then maybe you wouldn't appreciate it as much. So,
true,
yeah.
And, with your travel show, I'm always curious, you literally get to see everything you've ever wanted to see. But how do you deal with friends and family at home? How do you deal with making sure you're at least somewhat present for the friends and family that you've left behind?
Well, I don't sleep that much. That's for sure. Yeah. At this point, I was like, but that's okay. No, I try to make time. I make time to diversify my life, and I've been working harder at that because you can lose sight of it. And I definitely did for a bit. I was very focused on work, and that was pretty much it. But you come to a point, and I think as you get older as well, you think about what's important in life. And friends and family are so important. What I'm doing is so important as well, but then you have to strike that balance, and it's difficult, but I try to take more of my weekend time now and make the time to keep up with people. And it is definitely a constant balancing act, but it's something that I work hard to do. I have such really good friends that are always there. Unfortunately, my cat hates me right now, but I don't know what to do about that. I have so many people watching her. She is very well attended to, but she just wants me there. So I don't know.
I hear you.
We're working on that.
I was gone all last week, and I came home. My dog's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, come on, buddy." Like, yeah. Are you gonna be home this time, or yeah?
Yeah. I know. They're the ones, right?
Exactly. Everyone else, because I travel quite a bit for my work, and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, I want to hang out with you guys. I want to have some personal free time. I want to exercise time. I got to have date night. I got to do all these things in the window that I have while I'm home.
Right.
So it's just like you said, it's a balancing act.
Yeah. Always learning how to do a better, or wanting to learn how to do a better job at that.
Well, how do you what do you have any set routines or patterns for eating and staying in shape and all that when you're on the road, or is it just what you're doing keeps you going? Well,
so I do a lot of adventure stuff on the show.
Yeah.
But definitely eat a lot too. We were just filming in the LA area, and one day I had this huge, amazing breakfast sandwich at this bakery where we were filming. And then we go on to have this gigantic lunch at a Venezuelan restaurant in Pasadena. Pasadena has really diverse food. And then I had a food tour. And I was like, and then we went to dinner, and I was like, okay, tomorrow is mountain biking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow's fasting day.
Yeah, I'm because I am feeling like this is a very full food trip. And it's part of the joy of what I'm doing. And you have to test it out so you can share that knowledge, right? But
yeah.
Yeah, it's all a balancing act. But thankfully we do a lot of movement stuff at our show, so I guess it balances out in general.
Yeah, because that's the negative for me is a lot of times where I travel are rural towns, and healthy eating's not always a top priority. A lot of comfort foods and all that.
For sure, and I always bring granola bars along with me in case the food is not, there's some issue, or I'm out on a hike all day and stuff like that. But usually we have actually really good food when we're traveling, so that's not as much of an issue. But sometimes we're in exotic places and the food maybe is just not what I'm used to. But then I usually find that there's something there that's really, really good. So that makes it interesting.
What are some of the craziest places you visited so far in your decade plus of being around the world?
Yeah, well, I love Botswana, Africa is one of my favorite places. I went all over the country doing horseback safaris. So seeing wildlife while riding a horse, which makes
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool until you get charged by an elephant, which happens. I was in the Okavango Delta, and thankfully it was a mock charge, but this bull elephant got really close, and that was super scary. I galloped with a herd of zebra and wildebeest and the Bakatakati pans. It's one of the world's largest salt pans, which was crazy. Again, I was like, I hope I don't die.
Get the shot.
That's when you're really focused. You're like, I am focused on life right now. And I just...
Did you go to Greg and say, get the shot because we're not doing this again?
Oh, no, I do. Well, so I was herding bison on Antelope Island in Utah, and it was really kind of dangerous. And this never happens, but it was the one time where he thought he hit the camera on and he double clicked it and turned it off.
Oh.
And so I had been doing this for about 15 minutes and I'm out of breath, and I'm like, my horse is gunning for the animals at this point. And he looks at me and he says, you're going to have to do that again. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And we did surfing in Northern Ireland, and it was in Donegal at Bundoran Beach, which is a big hot surf spot for Europe. But the water was really cold, so I had on a wetsuit. And it was also raining outside. And the wind was blowing towards the shore, so I'm out there surfing, and Greg has the camera on and keeps having to wipe the lens because just water's getting on it. And so every time I would get up on the surfboard, he would be wiping the lens. And after the fifth time, I'm just dying, I'm out of breath, I'm freezing. And he just keeps sending me back in. And I was like, this is when the job gets a little tough. But all
makes for a good
fun.
bloopers reel, though.
Oh, I have a very good bloopers reels happening. Yeah, for sure.
That would be awesome. When you're traveling, because you're going to such, I guess, extreme places, not LA, but what do you do to fill the time as far as listening to music? Are you watching your own show? Or what do you do? How do you fill up all those hours of travel?
Well, a lot of time I'm working, unfortunately, because I'm hosting, producing, writing. I was editing this show until this past season. Thankfully, I now have an editor who's awesome. But and I'm running business. So, yeah, I'm on my computer. But when I'm not on my computer or when I just can't take it anymore, I have shows that I download onto my iPhone on Netflix. And I pretty much binge watch the things that I've been wanting to watch that I need to get caught up on. And I always have backlogs of shows that make me go to sleep, like Frasier, that I watch at night. If I can't sleep or if it's loud, I'll put Frasier on in the background. I know all the voices. I don't even look at it. I put the screen down, and I let Frasier put me to sleep. Yeah, it was the Golden Girls for a while, but I went through all those episodes. Even though I slept through them, I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
That's awesome. See, I'm very similar. I fall asleep well with the TV on.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's like story time. Yeah.
That's weird. You're the first person I've met that's also done that.
Well, people think it's weird because, first of all, a lot of people are like, you can watch stuff on your iPhone. I'm like, I always do that. And then second of all, I put the volume pretty low. So just hear it. And then it's and I find I like it better. I used to use ocean sounds, but because I'm such a thinker, and you may be the same way too, it's hard to turn your brain off sometimes. And I find that if I'm listening to a story, then that's a good way to divert my brain from trying to think too much about everything else in life.
Yeah. Totally agree. because what I find is, like, when I'm home, I can calm my brain down because I'm doing things. But when I'm on the road, I'm like, oh my God, I should be doing this. And when I get home, I got to do this. And then, okay, don't forget to call this. And I got to do that. And then, okay, in the morning, I got to make sure I call this customer. And then I got to call my boss. I got to call them. I got to,
Yeah.
So I find like when
yeah.
I'm in the hotel room, my brain just keeps going. So sometimes I'll just turn the TV on.
I'm that way too. No, and I now, I try to, when I start to think of something, I put it in my calendar or I put it in the notes in my phone as, to-do item. Like, okay. And that helps me like feel like I will not forget that and I've written it down. But I totally get what you're saying. But now I am like, by the time I go to bed, usually I'm pretty tired because sometimes it's late and then I'm getting up really early. So yeah.
I know the same thing. Like, I was up this morning and I had to produce the one episode that I put out on Mondays, and then I'm like, I got to do this. And same thing. That's kind of interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
Trying to calm the brain.
Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. Well, and I actually took a meditation course, and I know how to meditate. It was something I didn't think I'd be able to do, quite frankly, because I'm just the kind of person that, like, if I'm in a stress relief, I'll go running. Like, I don't really do yoga. I like to run or bike or do something where my heart gets racing.
Yeah.
But I actually really like the meditation. I think it's really helped, especially if I'm super, super stressed. I'll either run, or if I'm really, really, I might meditate, which is interesting. And it's a skill I'm glad I have now, because I think it is really helpful. But yeah, that's something new that I took up this year, actually.
I've had some friends talk to me about meditation, so that's interesting. I might have to look more into that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good for your brain overall. So, and it definitely helps relieve stress.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've talked to a lot of the people, like I said earlier in the show, was multiple people have multiple things going on. And just like me, I have my job, I have the podcast, then I have a wife and dog and kids, and it's a lot going on. So maybe the meditation is a good way to simmer down. No,
I think so, for sure.
You're making my day. That's why I love doing what I'm doing with the podcast. I get to talk to people and other business travelers. So I've talked to people about jet lag. How do you get around jet lag? I mean, you're really.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Try to get upgraded.
Okay.
I flew back on Qatar Airways about a month ago, and I got up. On the way there, I was in regular, economy or premium economy. But actually, they don't have premium, so it was just regular. But it was pretty nice. But I got upgraded on the way back, and I was in business class, and I had a lay down seat that laid all the way down, and it was my own sleep pod. It was amazing. I'm just gonna say, and I was very thankful. I was like, because I had to get up, I had to fly in and work like that morning. Yeah. So I was like, if I hadn't had this sleep, it would have been really difficult. But I do find it difficult to sleep on flights. So but I try to, like, especially if I know I'm getting there. And a lot of times I'll get there to a different destination in an international location, and I have to actually film, I get a short nap and then I'm filming, and I'm trying to stay up and get on that time zone. And then when I come back, I do the same thing. So I try to sleep on the flight, and I can't tell you that I'm a healthy flyer, because I'm not. I usually bring a big meal on the flight, and I basically have 2 glasses of wine and try to eat enough that my stomach is full and I'm like in a food coma, and then I pass out. And then I wake up, a food and wine coma, and then I wake up, I drink a ton of water. I wake up, and I have like a whole barrage of snacks that I normally bring on the flight, which are like, when I start to get antsy, I'll just start eating again. And I go back to sleep, hopefully, or I get my computer out and work. So yeah, it's a juggling act, but I try to sleep on flight. I'm getting better.
What's the longest flight you've had?
I don't even know how many hours it was. I've done, I think Qatar might have been one of the longest ones.
Yeah.
From from New York to Qatar. I don't know how many hours, but it was very long. But then I came back. Yeah, I came back from Cambodia, and I went from Phnom Penh to Seoul, and then I had quite a layover, and then Seoul to DC, and that was also very long. And I did fall asleep in the airport in Seoul, like on an airport seat, because I didn't have lounge access on that flight. And I told the people beside me, I set my alarm on my phone. I was like, "Can you please wake me up?" I was so tired. I was so tired. I was like, I hope I make this flight.
That'd be terrible to sleep through your connector flight. Like
that would.
Deboard.
That would not be good. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be terrible. What I'm very curious. You've had so many amazing experiences. How do you rate the top 5? And I ask you because bungee jumping off the Qatar thing was insane to me, because I got to see that in 3D.
Yeah, there's that's probably it was in Macao. It was in Macao, China.
Okay,
that's probably one of my it's the world's highest commercial bungee. It's probably in my top 5 because it was just so crazy, and I can't believe I did that still. And it's just, but this year I have done so many crazy adventure things. I mean, I swam with the sharks in the mall in Dubai and filmed it in 360. I did the bungee jump and filmed it in 360. I climbed the world's highest commercial climbing wall in Reno, Nevada, and tried to film it in 360, and I dropped the camera at one point. I mean, it was that climb was really tough. It was cool. I've never done a climbing wall before. I don't know what I was thinking.
That's when you do a cut and say, this would be like if you fell from the world's tallest, and then you use the 3D camera.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was, and it didn't break. So I tell you, the 360 makes a good camera.
You tried.
Yeah, I tried to break it. The sharks, it was a giant fish when I was swimming in this tank and surrounded by sharks in the aquarium in Dubai, and this I felt my hand just jerk, and I was like, oh goodness, I hope something's not a shark is not attacking me or about to attack me. But it was a giant fish, and I have the footage of this fish just flying down out of near the top and just trying to grab the camera, and it got all, my casing got all scratched up, but it's pretty wild. Yeah, no, there's been some interesting stuff, but one of my favorite experiences was being in Botswana on one of the world's largest salt pans and camping out there. The guide that we were with was we had a big campfire going. I mean, it looks like the surface of the moon, and the stargazing is some of the best. It's the best I've ever seen, and I've been to some great places for stargazing because you are in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of one of the world's largest salt pans, and our guide told us to. We'd been filming all day, and everyone's kind of tired, and you're in your work mode really. But our guide said, "Oh, just go walk as far as you can away from the campfire. You're going to be able to get back because it's the only light around here, and just don't talk for a while and just look at the stars, or you do whatever you want, but just take some time." And I was like, oh, this is so stupid. It's I'm not going to be able to do this. But by the time I walked for a while and then I sat down and I looked up, it was the most amazing sky I'd ever seen. And I just kept counting all these shooting stars. And it just really put the world and life into perspective. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And I thought, wow, how lucky is it to be able to see this? I mean, and experience this. It's pretty amazing. And I walked back and I just felt like that was the life changer. It really was. It really, really was. So, but there's been a lot of experience like that where I think it's once in a lifetime. And then who knows? I sometimes end up back in these places, which is because I've been doing this for so long.
Well, I think that's the one of the great things I think people get out of your show, hopefully, is that they want to experience. I mean, I tell people, for part of my work, I actually went to North Dakota. They're like, ugh. And I'm like, dude, there's some cool things up there. And then I saw your show on it, and I'm like, there you go. So I think your show,
North Dakota, yeah.
I think people can, watch your show and go, hey, maybe I do want to go visit there or go see that, or you know what I mean? I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
one thing you're really sharing with people.
No, I love it. I think it's funny because we film in international and domestic locations, and we do about half and half. So I've done a lot of the U.S., and there are a lot of places that are off the radar, underrepresented, underrated. North Dakota is one of them, and people just don't know all the beauty that's there. Another place is south of Chicago. Ottawa, Illinois is pretty amazing, and so is Macao National Tallgrass Prairie, where you can view bison on this prairie that is getting restored. A lot of Illinois used to be prairie land, and it's not today. So there's a lot of places that people would think, oh, why are you going there? And they're like,
Right.
Ottawa, where? I'm like, Ottawa, Illinois. And then you go and you find all these hidden gems and places that are really, really neat. I love that about what I'm doing, and I think it's a great way for people to look at their home area, wherever they live, and say, wow, there's a lot I can do around here too that I maybe haven't done before.
I'll give you something. Yeah, you might have heard of it. I was in, let's see, where was I? North Carolina, and I had an extra day off, so I went up through Virginia and then all the way up to West Virginia on the western side of it. And there was a river that I went through when I was in Virginia, and I stopped because I saw this big tower, and I'm like, all right, so it's national park. I kind of go, or state park, and I go into it, and it's a shot tower. Never heard of it?
No.
So a shot tower is where they used to make buckshot back in the 1700s. And what it was just a tower, like a spire next to a river. And what they would do is they would pour the lead into this sifter. And as it would go down, it would be falling down. It would be cooling, spinning. And then they would have the river at the bottom of it. And it was like 8 stories tall. It was huge. And so it would fall down, and then when it would hit the cold water of the river, it would make the buckshot. That would be how they made it for the guns. It was the tallest shot tower left in the United States. I don't know. Just one of those weird things that you would just never think of. Like, how did they make buckshot back in the 1700s for the guns?
No, there's so many interesting things like that out there. That's one I haven't heard of, but I'm not surprised because there's a lot of cool history and artifacts and remnants and even modern things that we just don't know about that are interesting once you get to scratch a little bit below the surface.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, your show is that for me? Like, I can watch that show and go, oh my God, that's so cool. You know, because I might not be able to go to Macao and bungee jump off the world's tallest, commercial bungee jump. I couldn't do that. I got nervous just doing the 3D thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it's tough. That was a tough one. That was scary. It was crazy, but I'm glad I did it though.
You were smiling through it the whole way, so.
I was, yeah. I mean, I was scared. I really smiled once I had that first bounce, and I realized I was not gonna plummet to my death. Yeah. Yeah.
See, and the 3D glasses work because I felt them with you. I was like,
oh yeah.
Nope.
It's a cool way to watch it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, hey, I appreciate that time. I feel like I could talk to you forever about your stories. What's the best way for my listeners to stay in touch and follow you and see what you have going on?
Yeah, well, I'm on social media at Darley Newman on Instagram and Twitter, and Travels with Darley on Facebook. And then they can check out the show on PBS stations, Amazon Prime, and Verizon Digital. It's Travels with Darley. There's a website that goes with that. I have a personal website, darleynewman.com, and you can also go check out equitrekking. So lots of ways to keep up depending on your preference.
Yeah, and I'll definitely put those on my website and then try and add the links and all that because there are quite. Are you still doing the equitrekking, or is that?
I'm not filming new episodes. The episodes are actually still airing on PBS stations, though, and also networks all around the world. And then still updating the websites with new information on places to go horseback riding. So it's a great resource. Nice. Yeah, a great resource if you're into traveling and riding horses.
That's mainly trail rides, though, right?
It's trail rides. It's people that are really into equestrian sports. There's dressage, cross country, a lot of like places. Places to learn to ride or take lessons, or and also go out and explore on horseback.
Nice. I'll check that out because I try and do that when I travel as well. Try and do some trail rides, whether it's Hawaii or North Dakota or wherever. So
it's a good way to explore.
I agree. Well, again, thank you so much for the time, Darley. I wish you the best on all your travels and adventures.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This has been fun. Who knew we had so much in common?
I know. Like I said, I'm going to be thinking about the meditation stuff now. That'll help me calm my mind.
There you go.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Darley.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.